Hi, we are recording this video podcast with health protocol in place. My name is Windy Arini. I'm a program officer at Raoul Wallenberg Institute of Human Rights and Humanitarian Law Regional Asia Pacific Program. We are focusing this video podcast on key research findings on localizing human rights in the context of SDGs and promoting public participation in local governance. Here with us today is Dr. Unang Mulkhan from SDGs Center, University of Lampung, Indonesia. Hi, Unang.
Hi, Windy. I'm fine, thank you.
Great. Please tell me about yourself and then your role in this research.
I'm Unang Mulkhan. I'm the director of the SDGs Center at the University of Lampung in Indonesia. For research, I play a role as a lead researcher, and I manage two other researchers from the beginning of the research. We found very interesting research questions, and then also we found very interesting data analysis we use, and now we have findings.
Great. I would like to discuss a little bit about your research finding. So the research is actually focusing on localizing human rights in the context of SDGs with emphasis on gender and the environment, which later served as a backbone of the Handbook on Localizing Human Rights that we developed together with your team as well. Can you tell me a little bit about the research?
Yes. So in 2019, I started to explain our initial research in 2019 when we explored several challenges and opportunities, how to localize the human right into the SDGs context. And then we continued last year's research where we focus on the exploring more on mechanisms, processes, and also what kind of support that local government and national or central government can do in localizing human rights in the SDGs context. And one more, this is very interesting, where we found like public participations. So also we explore the potential of public participations in this research.
Great. Can you tell me a little bit about, because I read the research and we found quite interesting practices of legal framework or mechanisms that exist in the cities that we research and how that supports the effort to localize human rights. Do you think that's an important aspect on localizing human rights?
Yeah, my research is part of the Asia-Pacific research, of course. And if we talk about very specific on my research, it is more on Indonesian context. It is quite, maybe it is similar to other country or different with other country in terms of the legal framework in localizing the human right into the SDGs context. If you talk about Indonesia, it is very unique where there are two aspects that involve. First is about the top-down approach, where the legal backing is set up by the central and local governments. And also there are several potentials that grassroots or society can get involved in this localizing the human rights and SDGs through civil society organizations and also through the community at the grassroots level.
Okay, that's interesting.
When we talk about the legal backing itself, the central government and local government, they have kind of a mechanism when we talk about the national and local policy development documents, and then how they connect this idea on respect, protect, and fulfill human rights.
The obligation of state.
Into the several important documents. And then those documents should be practices or should be realized through the several action plan. It is quite interesting when we want to see how human rights is really interconnected to the SDGs, we can see from those documents. So then I can call it like a very good top-down approach. But is it enough? That's the question. So our finding also explain that the grassroots involvement is still very important.
Yeah.
That is why I said before that the local community, through several mechanisms like what they call it, annual meeting between local government, local community, and other local stakeholders in providing input to local government in these documents.
Okay.
So this see like the top-down and bottom-up approach both are combined in realizing or realizing the human right at the local context.
Okay.
Yeah.
You tell us a little bit earlier about grassroots level and then how that can actually support the processes. And in your research, you also mentioned the challenges where the grassroots or the mangrove community, the practices there. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it is quite interesting where the local community, they organize themselves through the human rights defenders. So like a guy in that community really want to encourage other people and to motivate others, especially women, to protect their environment. Why? Because they experience like natural disasters like abrasion from because they are living in a very prone to the natural disaster. They are living in the coastal areas. So by motivating and explaining the importance of protecting the environment and also the involvement of women, then they can work together, and then they connect to the local government to support their actions through the connection is to know whether their action can help like the local developments project, something like that. Then they communicate with the central government as well, because the mangrove community is also monitored by the central government. In terms of this is like under the Ministry of Environment and Forestry. So this quite like very good like stakeholder engagements and multi-stakeholder dialogue here.
Exactly, yeah.
And then the women itself, they are not only doing or protecting the natural environment, but they also gain a benefit, economic benefit. Why? Because like when they walk into the mangrove nursery, and also they also take a benefit from the mangrove ecosystem, because they can utilize or they can produce products like a lot of like seafood, because of the good of the environment. So that's like a very good idea how the idea of respecting, protecting, and fulfilling the human rights at the local context, using the local context itself, that is the mangrove community.
That's an interesting practice, because I remember when during the length of your research, you also conducted a workshop with the local communities, and I think that's also an interesting discussion that you had in the community. So that encourages more public participation. Can I dive a little bit more about public participation? In your research, as I mentioned, you delve quite extensively on public participation in local governance and the different models, as you earlier mentioned, actually. Can you briefly elaborate a little bit more on the models, which one works, which one doesn't, and then if it doesn't, what do you think is the challenge?
Actually, we we can see from the finding that the local community really want to get involved in the policy development as
yes.
well. Yeah. So this is a very good idea when local governments actually this is I talk at the Indonesian context. There is like annual meeting organized by local government to gather to gather the lot of informations on the idea of development planning. So the information or the participation of grassroots or the local community is very important. Let's say they are living there, so they know their contact. So here, before talking about the policy development, which should involve the local community,
exactly.
All local stakeholders should understand their situations. So they should like understand the strength, the weaknesses, what is the contact in challenges, and also their own environment. From our research, we understand that the geographical context is coastal areas. So it should be different when they talk about the like a city. I mean like urban city.
It's different context.
Different challenges, different opportunities. Then we understand that they really want to involve in the implementations of the programs. And then what they really want now is they're asking like how to involve in the monitoring and evaluation processes.
That's important.
So see, they already know the flow, even though they're not really directly say that in a very structured way, like policy development and implementation or monitoring and evaluations. But they understand that through the idea of embracing, involving the local community, then they feel that they participate in the local development.
True. It's very interesting and fascinating looking at your research and then compared to others as well. What do you think meaningful participation should look like?
So they come from different background and from different expertise. I mean, at the local context. See, we should respect their situation. I mean, like, of course, like if we discuss like local development planning at the coastal areas. Basically, they are fisheries. We should understand what is their characters and also what they really want actually. And then in that area, there are several small businesses. Like there is like a shrimp ponds, a lot of like shrimp pond there. So through the grassroots model of participation, we should understand their interests and needs. When we talk about the businessmen there and the farmers or fisheries, they have different ideas on interests and needs. So when we talk about the grassroots participation, first we should understand this situation, their situation. Then the question is, what is a good model then? I think this is the ideal one is to see. I mean, we cannot just choose their. I mean, people who always like talking to the government, but actually a lot of like people they work or they protect their environment. They work with women, but they do not. They are not exposed. But if we go there, there are a lot of like people through the informal organizations. Let's say they are creating the handicraft.
Oh, okay.
But
Small businesses.
beside creating the handicraft, they educate their members.
Oh, that's interesting.
How to keep the rabies.
Yeah,
To process the plastic waste and so on. So this is really good to I mean to involve them in the quite direct way, not only in the very not only annual or periodic meeting,
Okay.
but they should be provided through the specific pipeline, kind of mechanism. So this is still we are still finding what kind of mechanisms, the best mechanisms to provide the pipelines. Then they can actively involve not an only annual meeting,
Okay,
but they can see periodically. How the progress of local development, how the local government as a duty bearers, respect, protect, and fulfill the human rights.
Sure.
So kind of like a check and balance, and also working together actually to
collaboration,
establish the healthy environment.
Okay, that's interesting. You mentioned that you are still, trying to figure out which mechanism works best. Can you mention one or two examples, maybe not from Indonesia, but other countries or other cities that you think could be promising to enhance public participation?
This is a good question actually. When we talk about a country and a city which has a very which has a very sophisticated technology. I mean, when the signal or like the telecommunication is not a problem anymore, so the ICT can help actually to enhance the public participations. I mean, if we can use like online media. I mean, on technology. That should be better when everything is there, and then public can access good information. And they can provide feedback to local governments, and they can have such kind of like knowledge sharing on how to protect and respect and fulfill human rights in their city.
Okay, that's interesting because that's also, especially during pandemic, we rely heavily on technologies, and fortunately enough, we do have quite an advanced technologies by now. But in cases where cities or the people themselves do not have proper access to technology, then how would you say the public could also participate in local governance, can also give their inputs? Because you mentioned earlier, there are meetings or annual or regular meetings between the government and local stakeholders, but also when that is not quite ideal, how then you sort of balance that?
Yes. See, at the beginning, I mentioned about the multi-stakeholders dialogue.
Yes.
Yeah. So it should be at the local level too. I mean, at the grassroots level. Here, the local government should come to the community
to be more proactive.
Yes, proactive, and then also it can be helped by academia, also the civil society organizations. I mean, when they come there together, and then they can share what kind of resources they can they bring. And then, but again, all of them should understand what is the aim, the purpose of localizing human rights in the context of the SDGs. Because before there is the multi-stakeholder dialogue, each stakeholder, each actor, they they're doing programs
Yes.
that relate to sustainable
Development, yeah.
and also that can be seen as an effort to localize the human right as well. I mean, if I want to take an example on the gender issues.
Okay, yes.
As the local environment defender,
Oh.
they want to involve why he want to involve women because they see that they see women should be empowered.
Yep.
And then they can be like backup for their husband. That's from their
That's
local contact.
quite traditional
Yeah,
view.
that's
but
a
okay,
very
fine.
traditional, very traditional view. But then we should explain to them that everyone should be equal.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, yeah. So in terms of the access to the resources, natural resources, economic resources, everyone, not only men but also women, should have access to
Equal
those resources,
access, yes.
equal access. So then we have the similar understanding on that. Then we can talk about the implementation, how to achieve those aims together. Yeah. So,
Interesting.
yeah. So through the multi-stakeholder dialogue, we can map what is the interest of stakeholder, what is the need, and especially what is the different ideas, and then we can have universal ideas on human rights. Then we can connect. Actually, we are doing like a sustainable development agenda through these programs, and we connect to our effort to protect and respect the human right, something like that. So the local governments has kind of like indicators.
Yes, a lot of indicators.
SDGs attainment,
Yeah.
such as on the gender equality.
Yeah, number
so,
5.
Yeah, so that's quite important. Then they refer or reflect their effort to those indicators. But we suggest that the local community can also provide input, whether those indicators already reflecting their situation. So this would be like in the multi-stakeholder dialogue too. Yeah.
So this research is the backbone of a handbook on localizing human rights, and you mentioned a little bit about your findings earlier. Just want to relate that to the handbook. How do you think, or why do you think this handbook and the whole agenda of localizing human rights can actually help local governments in facing or addressing challenges that they face nowadays, like be it climate change, gender equality, or recovery from COVID-19?
Yeah, that's true. Like our current conversation, I mean, of course, local governments conversations now is on building back better.
Yeah.
I mean, after COVID pandemic, then they should find a strategy how to tackle several problems too, in terms of the gender inequality, climate change, and even the main issue of human rights. Then this handbook can help them in a way the local government have a whole pictures on how to start the best way to start in localizing human rights in the idea of sustainable development goals. Since those issues I mentioned before, gender inequality, is the issue of climate change, and even the inclusive society, they are part of the agenda of SDGs 2030. So this handbook provide very structured steps For instance, like the readers. I could say that local government can be readers, can have understanding on analyzing the local situations first, and then how they should have a legal framework. That is why there is the importance of policy development. And then they should find the best way to implement several programs related to the agenda of SDGs 2030 in relation to the, respect, protect, and fulfill human rights through local programs, which should involve public participation as well. And then they should have like very good way how to monitor and evaluate. Not only monitor and evaluate their implementation, but also the policy framework too. I mean, whether so there's like a very holistic approach. Then they can see whether policy that they set up, the programs that they implemented, really address the human rights issues in the context of SDGs or not. So that's quite significant. The significance of this handbook, since this is like typical of Indonesian context, like we have a lot of government offices, which they have different roles. So through this handbook, they can see in the same page. I mean, like even though there is an office which is dealing with the issue of water and sanitation, and an office dealing with the woman empowerment, but they can see the different path, the different direction through this handbook. So this is really interesting of the handbook, how to connect multi stakeholders in the same direction.
So it sort of avoid different
overlapping,
overlapping
like that,
and working in silos, because that's also an issue.
True. Yes, that's true.
So this handbook is meant to be more practical in nature, right? How do you find it? How do you find it difficult to provide a more practical guide on localizing human rights for maybe local governments who may not be too familiar with human rights as it is? Do you think this handbook also helped that?
We analyzed that different actors, they have a different capability how to discern the handbook. So that is why we provide steps how to use this handbook. And also we provide several case studies. Then readers or the user of this handbook can see several case studies from different countries, different cities, where we already conducted the research on these cities. So through the case studies, they have ideas whether their experience at their own contact similar or different with these case studies. And also we provide with the suggested tools. Let's say in the situation, the step one on situation analysis, we provide with the problem trees where the user or the readers can understand how to map or to explore the cause of the problems. And also we provide like what we called like not a template, but kind of like I mean the exercise tools when they where they can exercise through the simulations, or then we can expand these ideas into several trainings, how the local community can also use this handbook through those suggested tools and mechanisms.
Okay, that's interesting. That sounds practical enough, I guess. Just
I
a little.
hope so, yeah.
That's the hope, at least. We should do when we develop this handbook. We should do few that it will be hopefully it will be useful, and it will promote the agenda or the aim of to localize human rights. Just to close up a little bit. Do you have any other findings or any other points that you want to share from your research that you think would be interested or will be interesting to be looked at by RWI or by SDG Center? Is there any particular issue or challenges that you think we could discuss further?
Yeah. The importance of monitoring and evaluations, actually.
Indeed.
Yeah. Specifically about the data.
Okay, yeah, that's an issue.
Yeah. Why I talk this, I'm not sure whether this is really an interest of a particular stakeholder, but this is a reality where we, when we were asked by local community, how is the achievement of the human rights and the SDGs in our city? It is still difficult to answer.
Yeah.
So that is why we should provide like the data, the reliability of the data, not only quantitative data, but qualitative data too. When we talk about the poverty eradication, not only relying on numbers, but also we should ask them whether they are living happily or not in their context, because it is really important to see how well the duty bearers can protect, respect, and fulfill the human right. So through the data engagement with the local community, it is very essential, where we can equip every stakeholders with the same data. So when we talk about public participation, not only on the what we call it, like their support to policy development or their involvement in the implementation, but we should understand that they really need the big picture, the progress of realization of human rights. So when they know the progress of realization of human rights, then they see in which level they are in.
Okay, that's interesting about data. We can discuss a lot about data and then how that important in monitoring and evaluation.
Yeah, because I'm in the SDGs Center, so everyone asks me.
You're talking about data.
About the, I mean, especially on human rights, is about the progress realization of human rights at the local context.
Yeah, because that's also one of the key points in the handbook to do more participatory monitoring and evaluation of policies and programs, I think. Thank you again, Unang.
You are very welcome.
That was very interesting discussion, and I sure do learn a lot from you and your research, and I sure do hope that when it's out, the handbook could actually help people to first understand human rights and then how that important to localize human rights. Thank you so much, Unang.
Yes.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.